there. So I'm going to go through some demos now. So I think this is really some of the key elements of, what we really want to show you. So I've got several different scenarios that I'm going to go through. We're going to start with the simplest and work our way up. And where Chris was talking around the usage scenarios, we're starting off with essentially what comes out of the box if you have a license level that says that you can use Microsoft 365. So we're going to use all of the tools that are available to us within that Microsoft 365 side of things. But then we're also going to bring in some elements. So in this scenario, we're going to basically do a survey. So we're going to go through a well-being survey here. And what we're going to do is we're going to create a form. We're going to publish that form. We're going to capture some results. So we're going to use Power Automate here to take the information from the form, and we're going to drop it into a list. So I've put SharePoint in there, but it's essentially Microsoft lists sat in SharePoint. And what that gives us is a long-term repository of information. And then we're also going to put a notification in Teams. So this is probably one of the simplest and most common solutions that we actually see organizations implementing. So let me find the right window and let's come over and have a look at this. Okay, so you'll see that I'm in Teams here. So what I've done in here is I have some messages that have come in. So I've had some new submissions. And what I'm going to go through is just talk you through how I've set all of this up. So actually, whilst I do that, I'm going to just take this. So this is our form. We're going to go through and I'll show you how this works. But what I'm just going to do is copy this link, and hopefully if the demo gods are smiling on me this morning and I post that in, then you should actually be able to click on that link and actually fill in a form. And it'll be this form that you'll fill in. So this is Microsoft Forms. We can put information up here. We can put a title. We can choose an image. We can put a description in there. And essentially, these are the questions. And what we have with our questions is the ability just to say what type of question. So is it a choice, text, rating, date? We can put things like Likert in there as well. We can put Net Promoter Score in there. We can divide the questions up into sections. So essentially that appears as different pages. And what we can do with this is then to say, actually, who do we want to share it with? So where we've got settings up here, we can choose to say, so I've got this one set as anyone can respond, which is why hopefully you've been able to actually click on the link and actually interact with it. So we can do this with external people. We can say only people in my organization. We can add start date and end date for when it might be available. We can shuffle questions. So if it's a test, and we can actually set up tests, we can shuffle questions so they're not the same order. And we can customize thank you and send notifications and things. So we've got a few things that we can do that are quite easy in here. And in here, we can also find branching. So I can also say, once this is answered, where do I want to go next? This form is very straightforward and very simple, so I don't really have that many options. But if I had choices in here, I could choose where it goes. So as a free solution for actually putting together a survey, it's actually a really quick and easy way to actually do that. And then what we also have is we also have the preview in here. So I can come in, I can test it. So I can put my name in, I can say, yeah, everything's good. And I can submit it and I can see what that would look like. Now, I can print or get PDF of answers, so I can see the responses. I can also see what it looks like on a mobile device as well. So I can test it on a mobile device. And this is really where we're seeing all of the applications that we're talking about are mobile first, rather than, so I think this, Chris, can you just check and see who's unmuted?
Yeah.
And then, so this is mobile first. So if you were to fill this in and follow that link on your phone, this is the experience that you would get. So it's a really quick and easy way for people to put forms together. I can see that there have been some responses come through, so I can click in here and I can see responses come through. I can open that in Excel and download that as well if I want. So it's a very, very straightforward, and we don't see many organizations needing much training for their staff to actually get this set up and actually to get this used. Now, one of the really powerful things with this is if I'm setting this up, I want to actually make sure that it's available in multiple locations. So in here, I can actually come in, and so I'm in my team. So I've got, this is the management team. So I've got this in here. I can edit this, so I can actually create that form and actually have that whole edit experience available within Teams. So, you know, if you're working in an HR team or a team who's capturing feedback, you can all see the questions, you can all edit it. We can also say we want to see the results as well, so we can put that results in there, or we can put this in and we can say just capture the responses. So we do that by coming into Teams, going to Forms, and then adding an existing form. So I'm going to do my company wellbeing, and I've got three options here. So collaborate was the first one where we're editing. Show results was the second one I just showed you, where we've got the results, but also we can just put this in, and we can put this in and just say, I want to collect the responses. And that means that all we're going to get is the form for people to submit responses. So it's very easy to get these forms into Teams and to allow people to have access to them. Now, what we've done in here as well is we've used Power Automate. So again, in this particular scenario, I've got this particular flow set up to allow this team to manage it. So that's why I've put company wellbeing management, because this is really where we're managing the whole process, start to finish. Everything is being managed within this team. So if I click in this, I can see, you know, when it's been run. So I can see that as you've submitted options, it's gone through. If I click in here, I can see, you know, I've got ticks. I can see how it's gone through. If it were to fail, I would see that it would go red, and I would be able to edit those as well and to see whether I need to resubmit it. The way Flow works here, I've used a template to start with, and basically there's a little bit of putting the form in, but then basically I get the response details and I'm creating an item. So I've basically chosen a list that I've set up. So I've got the site, I've got the list, and where we're putting these in, I can see my get response details is this particular action. So the response is submitted and then get response details. So that's getting an individual response. And I can actually then choose and add things in. So if I add a title, if I change the title and say I want to add the responder's email address in, this won't work for when you do it, but it should work when I do it. If I save that, then that will be saved and that will change the title that's going into my list. In terms of posting to Teams, I'm basically just putting a simple message in here. But if I wanted to add something like sending an email or doing other things, if I look at Outlook, then I'll see Office 365 Outlook. I could send email with options. I could get contacts. I can update contacts. There's lots of things that I can do in here just based on this connector. And this is where, when we're talking about those connectors that underpin the Power Platform in terms of Power BI, Canvas apps, Power Automate flows, what I'm doing is getting different actions that I can do against those different services. So if I look at Office 365 users, I can say get manager. So if this was an internal form that was submitted, I could say, actually, I want to just look up the manager of the person who submitted it. Maybe I then want to go through and look for an approval. So I could then do an approval process around that. So Flow is very easy to put these different actions in and to wire them up together, because I have those different options to actually put together. So if I said, where is it? Let's do the email. if I said send email, so let's do send email, send an email. So what it'll do, I can put this in and add dynamic content, and then I can see, okay, so I've got the responder's email, so I might want to put that in. I might want to put a message in. I might want to put a title in, so I can put the title from the list item. I can put the subject in there, so that might be new submission, and then I can put information in here, so I might say the rating is there. Don't want title in there, I want title in there because I actually want my email address in here. Sure, it comes to me, and if I save that and the next time that runs, I will get an email. So it's very easy to set these up. Save that. Very easy to edit these. So I'm still in Teams. I haven't left Teams. It's quite important. And then all of those items are then being put into a list. So I've got those lists coming in here, and I can see that information. So if I wanted to have rich information, I could put Power BI over the top and report on that. There's various other things that we'll go through in terms of lists and what we can do in there. But fundamentally, what I've done is I've taken that item that's been submitted, I've used Power Automate, and I've pulled that information over into my list, and then I've also put a message into Teams so I can see notifications, and we can do complex things in here. So I could be notifying people in Teams so that the channel, the team, an individual actually gets prompted to say there's a new entry in this team, you need to look at it, so that it comes up in the activity. So it's a very simple process there, but very powerful when you think about how that could be used. And when we look at the fill this in, so when we look at this, we can actually embed this into SharePoint as well, and we'll see that a little later on. Any questions at this